let's do it.
Okay, done.
Good to go. Oh, I need to bring up the thing. What's going on, people? It's another RGB podcast episode. We're back. We're live now. That's fun. We've upgraded. You can see our lovely panel that we have, and we have a couple topics to talk about, and it's going to be interesting. We're talking about price reductions. I think the real estate market is tipping right now, and I think right now is the apex of when you see the little chart change, because last month we actually saw median home prices still going up, even though, weirdly, inventory is also going up. So how does the price go up and inventory, supply and demand is going up? That's crazy. We're going to talk about rentals, the rental market, investing. And I think Candace has a funny story about rentals as well. So that'll be fun. And then we're going to talk about investments. And there's an interesting crowd fund that's out there that's backed by the Amazon CEO, Jeff Bezos, that seemed pretty interesting when I looked into it. So for people that are looking to get into investing, but the market's tough and it's expensive to get into, this thing you can invest with as little as $100 to diversify your portfolio. So those are a couple things that we're talking about. And but let's introduce the panel here. I guess I'll go to my right. Is that right on the screen? I don't know. I don't know if it's mirrored or what's going on, but go ahead, introduce yourself.
Well, I'm Shayna Jackson.
Pew, 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 pew. Sound effects.
I am a real estate agent. I typically work anywhere from Mercer County all the way down to like Gloucester and Salem County now, so Camden and Burlington in between. Yeah, I mean, I didn't always do this. I was doing something different, working before in like entertainment business and public relations. And I came back from California, got back to Jersey, and found that this is now a new passion and love of mine. So,
How long have you been an agent?
2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
And you came to Jersey to do it?
Well, I'm from Jersey,
Oh,
but so
'cause
I was in California.
You'd be making a lot.
I know, right? I'm like, should I go get licensed there? Yeah, since I came back, I didn't want to go and do something where I had to go back to school, get more loans, do all that stuff.
Right.
So I found a passion in this. And I think, thinking back, it was something I've always been interested in. So it's just funny, like, where life will take you and how those journeys, it'll match up. It'll align. So
Cool. Brianna.
Yes, it's me. So I'm Brianna Azanero, Breather Realtor, and I cover all of South Jersey, Gloucester, Salem, Camden, you name it, Burlington County. And I love what I do.
How long have you been licensed?
So a little over a year, honestly. So I'm pretty much like
Oh.
not so much of a seasoned agent, but I feel like
You started in this COVID market?
yes.
I think that's the best time to start.
You think so?
Yes,
Yes.
it was.
You learn so
Essentially, oh my
much,
God, I
right?
learned so much.
We're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
But let's get Candace in here.
Hi, guys. I'm Candace Dennis, also real estate agent here in South Jersey. Won't even go through all the counties. I'll just say I work where Shayna and Bree work.
Competition.
We are definitely your South Jersey real estate girls. I have been in real estate. I just started my 5th year, so really excited about that. And, yeah, I'll have a lot to say later. So,
So, yeah, let's talk about being a new agent during COVID, because that's interesting. You
Yeah.
think it's good?
Yeah, I think it was
Because you're
awesome.
2 years, so that's 2020.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. 2 years, and actually in July, I got licensed in July.
You guys are the ones that made me retire.
Really?
Why?
Yeah, why so?
we did
Because-
see a ton of new agents come in like during like the boom, don't you think?
Yeah, because there was so much volume, so there was more business to go around for everybody, which is cool. What I think happened was I was used to transactions when you work with buyers to be literally 10 times easier, and then I feel like I'm spending 10 times more of my time for the same amount of money, and that sucked. I didn't like that.
Yeah, but that's not the agents. That was the market, right?
Yeah, but then I just made me not want to do it because y'all come in fresh-eyed, so you're ready to deal with the BS, and I'm like less ready to deal with like putting in 10 offers. I'm like, this is unheard of, but it's normal to you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. So which was a blessing,
right?
Because essentially, right, like you said,
It's
we've
rough.
got the worst part. So now for us, like honestly, I'm in my cakewalk now. Whereas in the beginning, we were starting off, I had to take off and run. I felt like I was thrown to the wolves.
Oh my goodness.
That's
you know, so I got
Yeah.
all the bad stuff, all that out the way, honestly. And now it's like,
Think about how many offers you had to put in, how much you
Yeah.
learned. I could
oh
probably
my goodness.
do a contract in my sleep now.
Yeah.
Seriously.
So
you know?
so for the audience, if you don't know, like basically during COVID, it was a super hot market. So it's a very hot seller's market. So if you had a listing, you would literally just like put the house on the market, and then buyer's agents would have to beg you and plead you to accept their offer, and they have to offer their firstborn son and waive every inspection, and you'd have to send them Taco Bell and do all this other stuff to get something accepted, and that wasn't what was going on before that. Normally it was a mutual like negotiation. In 2019, you know, if the house was 300,000, there was some wiggle room as far as price. When you had a inspection, you actually could ask them to fix something, you know, so your client is not, you know, walking into anything. And yeah, that's kind of the situation. Candace, what do you think? Since you are before and after,
Yeah.
but
I
you just been
just-
rolling more and more.
Yeah, I do feel like agents that started before and then continue to like muscle through the pandemic and everything, I do feel like those people, their businesses grew if they went about it the right way. But I totally feel where Ryan's coming from. Not even gonna lie. Like even him and I have even had conversations where like he's like, listen, if I get a listing, I'm gonna list the property, but if somebody comes to me and they want to buy a house,
You can have them.
you can have them, sending it right to you. And there's been times where he'll text me like, look, here's this guy, here's his number. Look, they just called me, said they want to buy a house. I'm not doing it. And he was
I'm not
dead
doing
serious. He was not dealing with it. And I get it, because on top of, oh, sorry, Siri, or whoever's talking.
Siri's being crazy, sorry.
On top of the additional work that it felt like we were doing to make the same amount of money, there was also like this insane sense of urgency that we all had too. Like I got fired from, like, I had a buyer fire me because I put my son in the tub and I had taken too long to text her back. Like, and a lot of buyers got so used to that right now, like, I need you to do what I need you to do right here, right now. And there were so many new agents who were ready and willing to leave their toddler in the tub to submit an offer or, you know, whatever. And we were in the market where you kind of had to do that in order to get your offer accepted. There was no, I'm going to sleep on it, I'm going to pray on this offer. It's, your offer better be in before you even go see this house.
Yeah.
And that was something that we hadn't seen before, you know, prior to, what you think, Ryan, like 2020?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, COVID at first, everything stopped for like a month. It was March or whatever. Like I had 2 deals die. Oh, it broke my heart too. It was like really good people, and they lost their jobs, and they lost the people. Like the seller was waiting, but they could never get a new job because everything was locked down here in Jersey. Like so their first time home buyers, one of them single mom, was buying a multifamily property. The economics on it was great. Like the rent was going to pay for most of her mortgage. Everything was set up, and she got home inspection and was like maybe a week or 2 weeks away, and then she got laid off. And then the seller waited 1 or 2 months, and she just never was able to get another job, and they had to put it back on the market. And now that the value of that property is like, you know, the last 2 years, what are we looking at, like 30-40%? And I think about her to this day, because I'm like, dang, she really got screwed so bad. And I had to cut, like, so it was like, like, I don't know, like, it just put me off to the whole thing. And then after that, the market went crazy. So like, even me, when I bought this house, I had a VA loan. So even me, none of my offers would get accepted. And like, as soon as anything that came up in this area, I would send them like way above list price offer. and waive inspections because I'll just fix whatever, like whatever. And I still couldn't get it because I was using a VA loan. And I'm like, this is messed up. Anyone, because I've been preaching VA loan, FHA loan, don't put a lot of money down, get in the house. And I was so big on like promoting that to people and trying to get people from renters to buy. And that was like my main thing. Like that's all I ever talked about. Like, yeah, I did some listings or whatever, but most of my business was based on those buyers. And that just went away. Like the regular person, I feel like, is screwed. You had to have a lot of money saved up, and you had to just be in a way better position than most of my typical buyers were. And that's where I got fulfillment from doing the job, is like at closing, like you're changing people's lives for real, you know? A lot of people came from backgrounds where no one ever had owned a home, and everyone around them is like giving them shit for trying to buy a house. Or like, what if the water heater breaks, and putting doubt in their mind? And that's these generational curses and all this stuff. And it was always very fulfilling to see people get their first property. And I feel really good about it up until 2020, because if I look at the values of their properties, the interest rate they had, they're in such a great financial position for their family, for their future. You know, it makes the biggest, real estate's your biggest asset, and probably is the big derivative of your wealth. So like, I feel really good making actual impact on that. And I just feel like crushed with this new market. I don't think you get to do that as much. So that's kind of why I was like, I'll take a step back. Yeah.
It's understandable.
Okay, so let's talk about the CNBC article published Thursday, July 14th, so very recently. It says, well, it's saying these are the why can't I read? These are the 10 cities seeing the most price cuts for homes. But the whole point of this, and the reason I bring it up, is that I keep looking in the MLS and I see more and more price reductions, and like serious ones. Like I'm seeing 10, 20 grand price reductions all at once. And I'm like, what the heck is going on in Burlington County, New Jersey? But I think that's happening across the country. And so it says more home sellers are dropping their asking prices as rising mortgage interest rates and inflation ease competition in the market. Some cities are seeing more price cuts than others. Boise, Idaho took the lead in June with 61.5% of sellers cutting their asking prices, according to a new report from Redfin. Many markets saw massive price increases during the pandemic, which we already talked about. And then I'll go to this list. So Boise, Idaho, 61.5%. Price reductions. Denver, Colorado, 55. Salt Lake City, Utah, 51. Tacoma, Washington, 49. Grand Rapids, Michigan, 49. Sacramento, California, 48. Seattle, Washington, 46. Portland, Oregon, 45. Tampa, Florida, interesting, I'm looking at Florida, 44%. Indianapolis, Indiana, 44%. And I think real estate moves slow, right? Like economic, like just the overall economics of it. And I think we're right at the tipping point of it finally shifting from a seller's to a buyer's market. And that's pretty exciting, but I also think it's a little risky if you're buying in this transition period. Not to put a damper on your guys' business, but I'm a little concerned about buyers right now.
I am a buyer right now, so
Oh, yeah?
it's definitely things that I think about as well. It's funny because in one of your latest episodes, you were like, "Oh, July of 2022." I think that's, and I'm like, I'm buying in July of 2022. But I mean, for me, luckily, you know, the home that I'm purchasing now, it was on the market, and when they first put it on the market, I was like, that's a little high. Okay, and then literally a week later, it dropped $10,000, and I was like, let's go see what this is about, you know? And
So
I mean,
did they have other offers on it?
they had one other offer, and it was
Okay.
under asking,
Oh, good.
which I thought was crazy too. I was like, oh, is this where we're
Because
going?
you're used to
Hold
that.
on, under asking, that's unheard of. Okay,
You get to negotiate?
Right.
What?
Exactly. And I was able to negotiate a concession too. So I'm like,
Hey.
Wow.
okay.
Yeah, see, that's all coming back. That's why I tried to unretire myself. Maybe I'll talk about that. But you're starting to see concessions come back, FHA loans come back.
Yep.
Although somehow, Candace, I know you were closing FHAs, and I'm like, how did she do that?
I don't know how it was.
Yeah,
I
it
heard
was
of.
working
Because
though.
anytime mine said FHA, they were like,
Nope.
get out of here.
I would go back to my buyers like, can you talk to your lender about like a 3% conventional just so we can have conventional? Like,
Right.
you know, let's see what the option is there. But no, doesn't
They were like,
wasn't getting accepted.
So I don't want to be an extremist, though. So to my point of saying that July is probably one of the worst times to buy a house, July 2022. It depends what your alternatives are. You know what I mean? If you're renting, which we're going to talk about, the price of rent is astronomical too. So like, you know, I always say the value of your house doesn't matter unless you're trying to sell it. And that applies to any asset. Like if you buy stocks or whatever, I mean, if you're planning to hold it for 5 years, it doesn't matter what it is until the day that you decide to sell it. Obviously, it doesn't feel good if you buy it and then you could have bought it cheaper, but life doesn't work like that. Like if you have to buy, you know, usually your lease is ending, so you have to buy within a certain frame. So it's not the end of the world. And for all you buyers out there, it's not the end of the world. So what do you guys think about the price reductions? You know, how are you approaching this with clients? What are you seeing that's different?
honestly, for me, it's a little tricky because in some cases, I know that a property isn't getting much action if it's been on. At this point, if the house has been on the market for like a week or two, it's like, okay, well, something's wrong. It's the price is off, the condition, it's something because homes were like flying off the shelves as we've all been seeing. So I have been, I guess the way I'll put it is I feel like I have to be more strategic and kind of brief my clients like ahead of time. Like, look, we're not going to go about every house the same way. We might go and look at a house and say we pull up to an open house and there's a line up the street. Okay, you know, we're not asking for concessions. We're not offering below or at the asking price. This is clearly a competitive property, so we have to act like, you know, the way the market has been.
Right.
If we pull up to an open house and we the only people there.
Yes.
I went to one. I hung out with the agent for a little bit. We sitting having a conversation, like, and not a single soul stepped in. And she told me she had just did another open house the weekend before. I checked my phone real quick. I'm like, how long has this house been on the market? 3 weeks. So when my clients are like, Candace, we really like that house. We're going to put an offer. I'm like, okay. So I give them what I think is going to be the winning offer. And at that point, I now know I have some context behind this property. And I know in the back of my mind, we ain't got no competition. So they were FHA, seller concessions, like the whole nine. They got everything, getting one of those grants, all of that. But that was because it was appropriate for that property. Now, you go up the street and,
Right.
you know, I already said all that. But, you know, I feel like the way I'm going about it now is like it depends on the property.
Same. I will agree. Honestly, I mentally prepare my clients for either way because it can go either way still. Because it's still like we're all still tiptoeing. I feel like nobody's in the know, right?
Yeah.
Like I feel like none of us are 100% sure about what's happening right now. So we play it by ear. And again, I mentally prepare them for any aspect. Like again, we've been to open houses where it's like we 40 deep in here, so we from the rip. We already like you prepping them like this is what we doing. We gotta let's huddle. We coming up with our game plan, right? So again, and then you may have something where it's like, oh, we in a clear. I feel like this is a good one. You feel it. It's almost like, you know, so it's one of those things. I think we're all just doing our best right now. We're trying to, you know, trying to figure it all out because it is still so fresh. It's new. So we don't really know. Like, it's the unknown, but we do the best we could.
Yeah, you got to stay up on top of this stuff, you know, because you don't want to approach it like it's hot when it's not. You know?
Correct.
So that's what I get worried about for people's agents. I hope their agents are staying on top of it because, you know, if you're a buyer and they're acting like it's hot and it's not, now you're giving away things that you didn't. Because waiving inspections to me for a first-time buyer is just, I know that sometimes you got to do it, but I don't feel comfortable. But I want to ask, how do you mentally prepare them? Like, literally, what are you guys saying? Because do they listen?
No. No, they don't. They don't. I mean, I'm very realistic. I'm not here to sell you a dream. I'm here so that, because if my name is all I have, I want to leave and say she was a good agent. And I don't go into no house trying to get them to purchase anything. If anything, I'm the one that's like, look at that. I don't know if you want to do that. Look at that. You know,
you ain't coming back to me later.
You ain't coming back to me. And I don't never want to be that person, like the pushy one, like she made us purchase for a commission. No.
I feel like people are confused when I take them out because I literally nitpick the house no matter what. Like, I'm like, this could be a problem.
Yep.
And I'm like, man, like maybe I do it too much. I don't know. But see, this is the experience thing comes in because I've had crazy problems come up that I didn't think would be a problem. So now my mental preparation or what I'm telling my client is getting longer and longer of problems. And I think I might scare them a little bit. I will feel really bad if an unexpected thing happens to them.
Exactly.
And these people most of my people are not in a position where they can have a significant financial impact after purchasing home or during purchasing the home. So like I need them to really understand what they're getting into, but it's not a good sales tactic. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, that's definitely a problem. You know, this is going to be in the home inspection.
Yep.
And it's hard to give context, right? I feel like I double talk a lot because I'll say, this is fixable. It's probably costs about this much. We can see if we can negotiate that into there. But if they don't, are you willing to deal with it? Because you're going to spend $400 on a home inspection, maybe $500. And if you decide because of this issue to back out, I just want you to know beforehand, because $500 when you only have enough for the down payment.
Yep.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
You know?
Mhm.
So.
So you said it. I mean, that's how my mental
do that?
preparation. Yes.
I feel like I scare.
Absolutely.
Do you feel like you're scaring them?
I don't. I kind of feel like, again, you get that sense of she's like a Debbie Downer, but it's not that. It's you want to leave and you want them to say, like, you know, she had my best interest, because we do.
Right,
I mean, we're not pushing you to. I'm not. Oh, look at the chandelier. No, look
Yeah, I
at
don't
the
care
crack.
what
Look
house
at
you
that
like,
can possibly be. You know what I mean? Structural damage. I'm looking at that. I don't care about anything else, because
Right.
at the end of the day, I want them to feel like, you know, she really cared, opposed to she just wanted, you know, us
Yeah,
to
this-
just
This is not selling Sunset.
no.
Oh my gosh, don't get me started.
What's your mental prep for your people? Like, are you a Debbie Downer? Like, how do you balance it? Like, what are your
And Shayna's
thoughts on
sitting there
that?
smiling,
'Cause
and Ryan's like, "Are you Debbie Downer?"
we have to make money, right? So like, and you know, putting things in people's heads at the appropriate size of concern is hard.
Yes.
You know, because like I've had clients worried about really minuscule things that seem like the biggest thing to them, and it's hard to give people context of what a real big issue and what, you know, because if you say it's an issue, well, how much on 1 to 10? How much? Like, how do you, like, what's your approach to that?
I think you got to get to know your buyer, right? Like, I think if you're talking and you're building this relationship with someone, you have to feel them out. Is this little thing going to freak you out? Like, are you going to be the kind of person that you're going to take this to the next level, or are you going to be understanding about it? But I think, too, you know, if I'm going to point out something that I think could be an issue, definitely I always want my buyers to think, number one, I know what I'm talking about. I'm knowledgeable. I have the experience. I've dealt with this problem before, or seen someone deal with this problem before, or not. So always I'm going to be honest, because, you know, I'm here to help you. But
Are they listening?
Are they listening? I think
Like,
it just
what's your
depends.
percentage of listen?
Some people listen, some don't, and I
What-
do
True.
deal with a lot of first-time home buyers.
Right.
So
Did they
don't have
listen
that
more
experience.
or less, do you think, first-time buyers?
I think they listen more. I
Really?
think they listen more. I just recently closed with a buyer who was not a first-time home buyer, and he, you know, sold his house, and then he came into this one, and actually he was able to pick things apart way more than I was. So
Well,
you
being
know,
a homeowner, you start to know.
oh yeah, you
You're
know
like,
everything, you know.
True.
You do. So, but I think it's give and take. I think too, inspections, you know, you get an inspection back and it's going to have 40 things listed on there, and you kind of got to know, you know, okay, well, this is not that big of a deal. This is, but I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm going to listen to your questions too. And I think that that's an important thing, is when I'm dealing with a client, it's, well, let me listen to you too. You know,
Right.
let me not just fill you up with my thoughts and experience, but what are your concerns, so that we can kind of work around that. But that's probably my approach. It's just let me know who you are and what your concerns are, and are you prepared to be making repairs in the future or not?
Are they listening to you guys? What's your percentage of it?
No. All right.
No kidding. No kidding. I feel like, well, I too, like most of my buyers are first time home buyers, and I feel like the way that I've kind of like structured my business to kind of become is, yeah, they look at me as an agent, and like they respect me for, my job title and everything, but ultimately I try to make them feel like, yeah, I'm a professional, but you can still like feel comfortable enough to ask me the questions that maybe you might feel like is like the silly question. So, and I don't know if you guys see like on my Instagram and stuff like that, when my clients close, I start calling them my cousin.
Yeah.
And we all laugh about it, but on the back end of things, because of things like the home inspection or those showings where we're walking into a house and I might see something that's a little off, I want you to know, like, yeah, I'm a salesperson by title, but just know I'm not dying for a commission check, so I'm not here to just push you, into a property. I really do sincerely want you to end up in, a good home. And then 3, like we just said, I care about my name. I care about my business. And the last thing I want you to do is to close on a property that you feel like I wanted for you more than you wanted for yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So for me, I just tell them like, look, this is my professional opinion. You can take it. You can choose not to, but at least I know I can sleep well at night as long as I know that I gave you, my best,
Absolutely.
my best advice. But to go back to, them listening or not listening, I feel like a lot of it has to do with like external factors and external
you can't
people,
control
and
none of that.
there's always
Their auntie
like
comes
the
and just-
auntie's
Oh, my
baby
goodness.
daddy's uncle that bought a house in 2015 feels like we shouldn't buy this house because the doorknob's a little loose and that's a safety concern. And I'm like, okay, a doorknob is like $20 on Amazon.
Right,
Like, let's
like-
get a new door.
Yes.
I will put in the doorknob for you if you
How
want.
about that?
Like,
How about
some
that?
things just
Right.
aren't that major. I have a client now that's like freaking out because she has to get a tree removed out of her backyard. And I'm like, it's a tree. I got a tree guy. You need a tree guy? Like, sometimes.
Let's get a
No,
quote.
seriously.
Yeah.
Let's find out how much this is going to cost
Yeah.
before we start jumping off the bridge.
Yeah, and not to, like ramble or drag this on longer, but I think that when we work with first-time home buyers, another thing to take into consideration is if they've been renting for a long time, I feel like it's kind of a crutch for new homeowners because they're used to when that roof is leaking, it's not their fault. They the ones that's been living there for the last couple years, but for some reason it's the landlord's fault. So they can just call the landlord, and the landlord got to come and get somebody to fix
Yeah.
it. But everything shifts when you become a homeowner. You the landlord now.
Right, right.
So, and I tell my clients, I'm like, listen, like I'm here for you, even like now and after closing, but just make sure that you got a homeowner mindset. Like things are gonna happen, and you have to be equipped for that. And sometimes they're not.
Most times they aren't.
Yeah.
So you're
Yeah.
right about that.
So let's talk about this rental market, right? So this kind of leads into like, sure, July is a bad time to buy, in my opinion. But if you're renting, I mean, like the rent is more than the mortgage even it's probably, is it? What are you guys seeing? Like if you calculate the rent to the mortgage with the higher rate, do you think it's still preferential to buy, right?
Well, I was in the process of moving. I was going to just get a rental because I was still looking to do like an investment property. I wanted to really flip something, and I know we talked about that too.
Right.
But so I was just temporarily, I was going to move into a rental, and I was looking at a specific kind of rental and what that looked like, what the rental payment was. And my mortgage payment now it's like $400 cheaper than what I was getting
Right.
ready to pay. So,
So
and that's with the, interest rates going up, but you're mindful of things, your taxes, things like that. That's going to help fluctuate, where you're at. But no, it still kind of makes sense. I think you're either going to pay about equal what you were paying in rent because rents are just going up. They're not slowing down, doesn't seem.
yeah, I think the prices and everything can go down, but the rent's never coming back
Oh
down.
my goodness. No,
Yeah,
that's
no.
never
At all.
happening. No.
Not at
No.
all.
Yeah, so the rental market's funny. So if you guys are renting a property right now and you got people like, okay, so this is the issue that I have going on is I'm a property manager for a couple clients, but most of our properties we own. And I have to raise the rent to keep up with the market rent. So I had a property that was renting 3 beds, 2.5 baths, renting at $1,850, and the comps are like $2,400-$2,500. So of course the evil landlord's going to raise the rent, and you're the bad guy, and they give you all this crap. But what happens is I tell them, like, it's fine if you want to move out, but then they go look at the rental market, and now, everything's $2,500. Plus, the point that you were bringing up before we even started is you might not get the place that you want to get because it's so competitive right now, and I don't see that changing because when you list a rental property,
oh my goodness.
and I know you guys get messages, hey, you're a realtor, can you help me find a place?
All the time.
All the time.
Especially renters. I'm literally like 80% of my business right now is renters.
Renters?
And it
Oh,
yes.
how
My heart just went out
could
to you.
I know.
It is rough.
No, it's rough.
You do rentals?
Rough. But trust me, I'm trying to like turn that leaf over. I'm trying
See,
to be
you
like,
guys
listen, I'm trying to weigh out.
hustlers.
I always tell them, are you going to pay a mortgage this year? It's either going to be your own mortgage or it's going to be
Wow.
somebody else's. The rent, the prices are astronomical. It's insane. So
So
I
just buy
have
a
weighed
house
the few
anyway.
over.
Yeah.
Just
Mhm.
buy a house.
Yeah.
Roma, what are you doing over here? Just
Getting all this
joining the
loving.
show.
Getting all this
Uh-huh.
loving.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's still competition on these rentals. I work with renters too. Normally because they're buyers and they're not getting what they want right now. Look at that face. that
How
you're
can you
giving me.
guys afford to do rentals?
I mean, because
Do you make them
I'm in the
pick
business
out of like
helping
3?
somebody, so it's like you
Oh,
need
I
you
know
my
that's
guys
how
are
help.
so much-
I feel
You
too.
know, like you,
I
and
feel
I have a renter. She came to me as a buyer.
Uh-huh.
She moved here from California,
Uh-huh.
and she just it wasn't lined up at first, so we got her a rental. Now, guess what? We're under contract on her new home. So
See?
you know, I'm
That
not in the
sounds
business of
Sometimes it's
beautiful.
that.
beneficial. Yeah.
Let me just tell. So, guys, here's how the rentals work here in New Jersey, mostly. So, you get half of the rent.
Yep.
As commission minus your split.
Mhm.
So, if the rent's $2,000, you get $1,000 minus whatever your split is. So, you might get $800. How much time do you spend with these people? What
Time,
if they're
gas.
picky? They want you to dry. You got to look at how
I
many
am more
rentals.
strict with my renters. I can't lie because you have to. You have to
I'll
set
take
that
you out
healthy
one day.
boundary. Yeah, I'm very strict. I am.
One day, yeah, but you go put an offer and there's so much competition on that, you're probably not getting it.
Exactly. So
This is the other thing. Stop messaging me about rent to own and private
Stop
landlords.
messaging me too.
That
Going
should
to
be a
add me
topic.
right on underneath
Rent to
Ryan. Because I'm sick of it,
You
okay?
guys-
subscribe me.
There's-
Yeah,
guys,
that's
rent to own is a scam. There's no reason to do it unless it's a very, very, very unique situation, but it's not yours. I promise.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's never
You,
going to be.
I'm talking to you. It's not you. It's not going to work. You're paying for an option to buy when you could just buy it
Buy.
once you're ready.
Right.
Why would you want to be tied down? Why would you want to pay an option fee to be tied down to buy that specific property? There's all these
Exactly.
properties you can buy. Just get your stuff together, save that money, and then
That's it.
buy a house when you're ready. Don't.
That's what I
Right.
say.
Rent to
The
own.
everybody's like, when's the best time? The best time to buy, honestly, is when you are ready. You would
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
You would know because
That's
it doesn't
it.
matter what's going on with
Right.
the prices. With that, when you're ready, that's the best time to purchase.
When
Makes
you're ready
sense.
and you can afford it, that's when it's the
Exactly.
time to buy.
Yep.
Stop trying to
Exactly.
measure out the market.
You
But
always
what's your
fail
goal
every time.
Because that's-
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
And
agree.
usually, and I could be completely off, and Ryan will correct me if I am, but I feel like the people that are trying to analyze the market the most and like time when they're going to buy are
No,
like
they're just
the
playing.
people with like no type of economic background, no mortgage knowledge, never owned a home ever. And I'm like, where are you getting this information
Yeah.
from? Like where it came to you in a dream? Like I'm confused.
No, I agree.
Seriously.
I don't like predictions and all that
Neither do
stuff.
I.
I think if you are sophisticated, because I'm investing, because I have considerations. Like I'm like, should I sell all my properties now, and then if the prices go down, then I can buy them back or buy similar properties, not the same ones. You know what I'm saying? Like you could do stuff like that, but like I was saying,
That makes sense from an investor
doggies.
standpoint.
but I think your house is more than a financial transaction, so you can't approach it that way, right? If your lease is expiring, you have to live somewhere, right? So like you have that rent versus buy discussion, which I don't think people analyze properly, because owning has a lot of intrinsic values above the economics of it that people kind of don't understand, which we need to do that as an episode at some point. But you know, there's other considerations. It's not like an investment or a stock where you buy it and sell it based off of whatever. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's a lot different. I do think for some people, if they do know what they're doing, trying to time the market's cool. But timing the market, just like stocks to me, really matters to your time horizon. So if you're going to be in the house for 5 to 7 years, I mean, the benefit of buying this year instead of renting for a whole year, waiting, and then it might not even work out. Now you're, you know, like, I don't think it's worth doing that. You know, if you're ready to buy, I'm not saying don't. I'm just putting the information out there. Maybe, you know, next year might be a better time, but I'm not saying you should do that. I'm double talking, I know, but that's my whole thing. I just want people to know, and they can make a decision for themselves. Like, I'm not here to tell you should or shouldn't do something, because I don't know you enough to say what you should do. Especially, I get concerned about that on the internet, talking about these things, right? Because I said this last episode, but general advice, especially about real estate, is hard because every situation is very unique, you know? Like, do you have baby mama drama? Do you need space for your kids? Like, do you have an in-law? Like, I can't make that decision. I don't know what your family dynamic is. Is the house too small? You're homeschooling. The kids are loud. You can't concentrate. Now you can't work. I mean, if that's the situation and it's not the prime situation to buy, it is for you, you know what I mean? So that's why I don't like to say either one way or another. I just say, here are the conditions. And just know that that's what the conditions are, and here's my perspective about it. But I was wrong. I thought everything was going to crash when COVID started. So
I was very shocked. I was like, first of all,
everyone lost their job. How
I'm
they buying
like,
houses?
everybody's getting laid off, but everybody's getting the house. The math wasn't mathing, but it
math
mathed.
wasn't mathing. And not only were they purchasing, they were purchasing at like way overpriced. Like, it was insane.
And the cash buyers, I was like, where are
did
we
it come
getting the
from?
cash from? Like, please put me on. I want to be with you.
Exactly. Same.
You're paying $20,000 over asset, and you're doing the gap on the appraisal, and you just
the appraisal shortfalls was taking me out. I was like, "Are you serious?"
Yes.
It was insane.
Very much so.
Yeah,
but definitely your goals. Like, what makes sense for you? Does it make sense for you to buy right now or not?
Don't be too cute about the rates and all that.
Yeah.
I can honestly say, though, like, even when the market was like booming or whatever, and even now going into this shift, I still haven't changed like my outlook on things, like when it comes to me helping my buyers, because I told them, even in like the crazy market where we were up against like 60 other offers and stuff like that, I'm like, we're not offering anything ridiculous. Like, hear me saying we, right? I'm like acting like this house is mine
I'm
too.
a part of this
I'm like, we are not offering anything ridiculous, because what's going to happen is later on down the line, you'll be mad at me. So let's make decisions that are financially beneficial now and later.
Yes.
And I still haven't changed, even like with now, like prices, you know, they're dropping and everything. Rates are going up. People are asking me all the time, is now a good time to buy? And I tell people, like, if you can get approved to buy and you are okay with that decision, I'm all for it. I support it. But for me personally, if a client makes it very clear to me, even if it's just their body language, and I sense that they're settling and they're just buying a home just to say that they bought it, this market isn't the one for you, because you're overpaying for something that you're not even happy about. Now, if you thrilled and I'm the best agent in the world because I just got your offer accepted, then let's do it. But if you just doing it just to do it, then it doesn't work for your situation.
I think that was the hard part, watching so many buyers settle for things that they, you know, I came into it and I wanted this, and this, and these are my deal breakers. And it's just like, well, I'm not getting it. So, okay, now this is okay. And okay, now this is okay. You know, watching them like really settle. But definitely, making sure they're still happy, because you got to be happy leaving this. Like, this is
Right.
your
Oh,
home.
yeah.
It's a big
Yes.
purchase. It's going to mean something.
It's
Mhm.
funny though, like some people need to settle a little bit.
That's true.
Oh, they do.
That's true.
But I get what you
Everyone
mean.
is
People need to
different.
settle.
What bothers me is like, dang, had you got your stuff together 2 years ago, you would have been able to get what you wanted. That's why I feel
Right.
bad. I'm like that.
Yeah.
But I don't. If you ever followed me years ago, I was pushing hard, buy a house, buy a house. It's the best thing ever, and I would get like resistance from it, and I feel really vindicated because it's like, if y'all listened to me 3 years ago, you'd be sitting pretty right now.
Right.
Real
Told
happy.
you. Mhm.
Because if you look up
True.
at all the economic data in the U.S., the disparity between people who own property, this is the major wealth disparity,
Mm.
is people that own property and people that don't. I mean, it's like, like for example, black median wealth is at like 13,000 to like 80,000 for white
Mhm.
median wealth, and all that is from real estate, really, because we weren't even able to buy property, in the 40s, 50s, up to the 80s, basically,
Yeah.
right? So that, because property goes through generations and the
Yes.
wealth builds, because if you have a house, you can borrow against it. It's a great thing to have, for your wealth generation. So that's why getting into your first property, even if you're overpaying for it, whatever that means exactly. Because you have to, I feel like this is a thing that people don't understand is value in general. Like, what something is worth to me is different than to someone else, based off of what you're trying to accomplish and do. Like certain things, I don't know. I don't know if your grandmother gave you a diamond ring or something, right? Like, there's a market value of the diamond ring, but the value to you is different.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to accomplish something with your family and all that stuff, and this is the right house, maybe you want it high ceilings or whatever, that has more value to you than some other buyer, and people need to understand, like, to go after the things that they want and not get confused about value, like, for things that they don't want, and if that makes any sense.
Makes a ton of sense.
Candace, what's up with
This is
What I
so Candace cracks me up. Actually, all you guys really crack me up because you guys, like, you're doing rentals. Like, I'm like, oh my God, I can't compete with you guys. 'Cause
We're
you,
going to talk about that after, because I want to learn from y'all. I don't have it in me.
they're hustling. See,
Girl,
but it's
the COVID realtors. I'm telling you, we are built for and equipped for whatever.
no.
'cause
This is what's happening is that you guys are new, so they're energetic, and you're getting medium now. Although I look at you and I'm like, dang, she's killing it.
I was going to say, I feel like I'm still all right.
You're still
But
are.
rentals, I just
I
can't.
know.
and I'm like, dang, I wish I had that. I can't. I just like, I really can't.
But you know what? Even when I tell other agents that I've been an agent for 5 years, they're like, "Oh, you're still new." Like, so I don't feel like like, what do they say, seasoned or none of that. Like, I feel like I'm.
You
just,
do act like,
I'm
because
just
I
out
was
here.
surprised how many years you've been in, because you're so enthused still.
That
Yeah,
means you
you're
love
still
what
kind.
you do.
Yeah, that means you love
You
what
said
you
I'm
do.
still kind.
Yeah, because I come across some realtors, they don't answer their phone. So when they finally answer, what?
That's me.
Off the market. Oh my goodness, I can't stand your comment.
I'm not even
what
gonna
did I do?
answer.
Did I sleep with you last night? What happened? Like, why are you so mean to me? They are so mean. So
Oh
I'm glad
my
that you're
gosh.
still like,
Yeah.
like, you seem so like new. I don't know. Like you have this whole freshness about you.
Like my voicemail says to text me,
Oh my God. This guy.
and so when I have a listing, like, why are you leaving? Like, I know what you're gonna say. I do. Do you have offers? Just yes, I have offers. And then they want to extract information. I'm not stupid. Like, no, put your best offer in. Like, what do we have to talk about right now?
Well, what if
And
I
they
want
wanna
to
tell
give
me
you
a
the best
story?
offer that I can? Like what if I don't
Yeah, give me
what if I'm trying to figure out
500,000.
how you can be helped? And like, what if you
I'll
got
tell-
an offer but you want a better one and I can get you that better one?
Give me. You know what to do.
Oh my God.
What do you mean?
No, I get it.
I know. I'm not gonna lie. I do
But I
be trying
like
to
to
get
talk.
personable, like as if I'm like.
Oh, don't
easy-
talk.
Oh yeah, because it works
please don't.
sometimes.
It does work sometimes.
I
It
wanna
don't.
talk.
It negatively works on me. Like, don't talk to me. I don't want to know
I can see
about your
Ryan like, we're
buyer.
going with this offer because this is the only agent that did not
Didn't
call me.
Yep.
I put them in an Excel spreadsheet, price, closing day, type of loan, contingencies, whatever. Boom, boom, boom. I don't put your name. I don't care who you are. You know what I mean?
Funny.
These are the offers.
Well, thanks for letting us know.
Right.
Because I really thought I was doing something by like calling, getting personal. They probably like, I don't even remember Brianna.
And I hate when they want to write a letter of the family and all that. And
you
of
don't
course,
like that?
this is a business decision. This is business.
I'm about to take
Ryan's
some
like,
notes.
what's
I'm
the
gonna have
bottom
my
line
buyers know it's not
number,
working,
okay?
It's not working.
I think it works. Like, I forward it to them, and it might affect the sellers because they.
It just
but
doesn't move you.
Why? I don't care. You guys
Oh my
care?
God. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
I care.
horrible.
Yes,
I
you
care.
All
are.
right. Well, guys, I don't care. Like the
Mental note,
my
okay?
renters, like. Savage.
But I think it's different being on the listing side and what your cares are versus, shopping around with your
That's
buyers.
My
Ew.
job is to get you the most money and to the easiest transaction when
Exactly.
you're a seller.
Mhm.
How does them having a golden retriever factor into that?
I almost feel like that's part of the purpose of having an agent because sometimes when the seller's selling their
It's
home,
emotional.
it's emotional.
It's-
Yes.
It makes you make bad decisions. No.
Yeah, and then the buyers are, we are going to take great care of your home. And it might have that seller like, yes. And then you got an
ain't gonna
agent,
care about
Ryan,
that
like,
house.
well, we don't care because they're
Yes.
not giving you the most money.
Exactly. Well, what's more important to you? You want the
Right.
golden retriever in your house or you want this $10,000 over asking?
You're not going to
Yeah.
care about that.
Yeah.
Look, this house was built in what, 1960 something? You know how many people lived in this joint? You know what I mean? Like, houses are commodities too. Like,
Yeah.
I know it can't, if it's been in your family for a long time, but honestly, a house is just like almost any other product. They're the most important thing. Like, even like, because my friend's about to take the bar exam, and it's funny because real estate breaks a lot of rules of like contracts and certain things because you can't have verbal contracts, but with regular property, there's a whole real estate's its own special entity because of how important it is.
Mhm.
So I just, it's really important.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that it like how you don't care? You feel like it's like a gender specific kind of thing? Like do you run into that? Like male will be a little bit more stern or not care versus a female we're nurturing, we're like all about it.
As a general rule, I think so, but not
Mhm.
always. I would not say. I would say more men are like that than women are, but there's women that be like, I don't care. Like I've dealt with some bank-owned, one of those agents that be having like 80 listings, and she sounds like this one. She sounded like she has smoked like 1 million cigarettes in her life. She's like, Ryan, and she's like, oh yeah, they're stupid. I'm like, yeah. She was the most cutthroat agent I ever dealt with, but she was cool because she was like,
Cracking
I like
up.
straight to the. Don't.
Yeah.
All that extra fluff.
We're not. I don't want to be your friend. Like actually, and this is a downside because I should network and all. I'm just not. I just feel like it's manipulation.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is.
Like I'm cool with talking to people, but you're just talking to me for a reason. I don't like that.
Okay.
So
And
like,
let's be honest, that's the tactic. I'm not going to sit here and say
Right.
it's not. I want to get personable for my
it doesn't
clients.
work on me
Okay, good. I know.
at all. Negatively works. I'm like, they're
Sometimes I think like it can be a little bit of a curse because now if I'm listing a house and you're the buyer's agent, you're coming to me and we're being so personal. Now I like you and like I gotta let you down. That's gonna
Yeah.
hurt.
That's why I don't want to do it either.
Yeah.
I have empathy.
Yeah.
Like that's why it's been so hard for me with my buyers because I really feel their pain.
Yeah.
And that it sucks. So that's another thing. I don't really want to get like that with people. Like this is what it is.
Mhm.
And that's a tough thing with your client, like the
Mhm.
conversation. Why is Siri doing that? Oh, so let's talk about that before we go to the other issue. Is like, you guys are all ladies here, and you're in this business that blurs the lines between professional and personal because a lot of I know a lot of agents that are just good with people and they're actually not really that fantastic on like the business negotiations, keeping up on the market. But no one cares about that. Like clients really don't care about that. It's all about liking you as the individual and feeling comfortable with you. But you get people sliding the DMs and they're being weird.
My goodness.
And it's like, and the thing that I could empathize or at least understand, which would be hard, is I say yes to when I was hustling and actually not semi-retired, I say yes to every lead. Like, okay, let's do it, you know, and I wouldn't have to be super concerned about my safety or if what their intention was, because no chick's really going to be like, get a fake pre-approval to
hurt you
go look at a property, you know, and try to take me on a date, you know what I mean? But a guy would definitely do that.
Oh.
So how do you decipher that? Because I would imagine that you could miss legitimate people for thinking they're playing around, and then some people playing around can trick you and waste your time, or even worse. So what's your...
You gotta vet people. You got to.
Do you think your judgment's always 100%? Like, how do you know, you know? Like,
you don't know until you know, because, I mean, you know what I mean? It's hard to differentiate, like, who's for real, who's not. So you honestly, unfortunately, I don't know until I know, but I don't shy away business. Even if I feel like somebody's being, like, a little inappropriate or not business savvy, I'm just like, okay, we just got to go through it. I just got to see what it's about, because, again, I can be wrong. I can be so used to one thing, and then this one person is just being genuinely kind, and they may really be a legit buyer or seller. You just never know until you know.
Right.
So that's my tactic.
Yeah. No, I agree with that, because I feel like there probably have been times where, like, I probably left money on the table because I thought that, you know, somebody was being a certain type of way. But, like, just to give an example, there's this guy that has been in my DMs for months, like, saying that, like, he's an investor, and anytime I post a home, he, like, messages me about the home, like, well, what would I need to put down? It sounds very serious, but in between, like, if I put something on my story, it's like, I love a woman who's about their business.
Oh, no.
And it's like, okay, well, thanks. Like, I don't know, because on one end of things, I see, like, you on social media, and it looks like, you know, you're into investing or whatever, and so you might be a legit lead, but at the same time, I don't care that you love a woman who's about their business. Like, so then understand that I'm about my business, and all we're going to talk about is business. Like, I don't know. We talked about this on your other podcast, how sometimes I just ignore people when I feel like they're being inappropriate, and I think that me having that kind of reaction, sometimes it saves me, and then other times it probably hurts me. I would never know, because I've never gone through with it.
Yep.
So
I feel the same.
Yeah, I think that's challenging. So do you have a business and professional page, or you just have them blended together?
I have
What's your
two separate.
strategy? Yeah?
Yeah. And sometimes I think about blending them together, because I'm like, well, it's not like I'm posting anything crazy or inappropriate, but I do kind of like keeping them separate, just because you never know what kind of clientele you're going to have. And mine are separate.
I post many inappropriate things.
Me too. I do.
I mean, on my
I'm not
page.
gonna lie.
when Shayna said I got two separate ones, because, you know, I heard Bree go,
I felt that in my soul. Like, I just made a business one, because I'm like, yeah, my life is too, like, I'm too crazy outside of work. But
I think it's weird, because being an authentic person has benefits, but obviously putting your personal and business together can be complicated. But then it's hard to manage two pages. I'll never post on a business page, because then I got to go over there, and then I don't know.
that was my problem.
If you want to work with me, you work with me, and yeah, I'm a person. Like, I have other thoughts. Like,
Yes.
I feel the same way. I kind of say, like, what you see is what you get with me.
Right.
Like, you know, like, I like to I dance, and I don't do nothing crazy. I mean, I just be dancing. Like,
I just be
dancing. And this is me. And you know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
I'm going to treat you the same. I'm very professional. It doesn't take away from who I am as a genuine person, but I love to dance. I'm going to be
Like
dancing.
to have fun.
Like to have
Yeah.
fun. You know what I mean?
But it's
So-
funny, because we might even think that might, you know, turn someone away, and they might like it more, because
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
seeing that. Yeah,
That's
it's a
my
tough
argument.
balance.
It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
because people want to work with the people they can relate to, like the cousin thing, you know, that
Right.
bond there. Like, they got to feel like they're your cousin. Otherwise, then the best people are when you get along really well. Like,
Yeah.
then they
Yeah.
listen to you. You're having a very fluid conversation. When they're like half skeptical or like you're just not vibing, like I feel like they're not getting the best because they're standoffish,
Yeah.
and then your experience also as an agent is not as good. I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with
agree.
that.
I mean, I had separate pages, but like you said, like managing. First of all, I struggle managing the one that I have. So once you start adding other stuff, it's like, okay, I'm just gonna be me. And then to go back to what we talked about, like, and Ryan just brought up like the cousin thing. Like, I feel like I'm personable, so I want you to see me and know that like I'm not just an agent. Because on top of that, I've had people like contact me simply because maybe they were like a single mom and had a son, but they
Right.
see on my Instagram that I have a son too. We relate
Yes.
to, you know, being boy moms or whatever, and they're like, okay, well, you know, I want you to represent me because I see you have a young son too.
Yeah.
Just different things like that, that if I had that separate page and maybe that's where they found
They
me,
would've missed that.
they may not have known that.
Mhm.
But then at the same time, if I'm at the beach or something, it's like, do I post? But I've gotten to the point where I've come to the conclusion that I'm not for everybody. So I can be myself, still be professional, still be respectful, because I'm the type, I don't even wear things that I feel that I'm not comfortable in. So I feel like if I'm comfortable going out in public looking a certain type of way, I'm comfortable enough posting it too.
Right.
So now I'm just like, I'm me.
Yeah.
I'm me. And I started to see, this is why I started talking in the first place. When I got rid of the business page and just started doing personal, I started to see my clients, I don't know, it felt like they started to respect my time more, because now it's like, I know that you're not just Candace the agent, you're Candace the mom, the wife, and all the other stuff too, because they see all of that on my social media. So we not doing all of that. I'm gonna let my baby drown in the tub, text you back. I'm not.
No,
we not.
seriously.
We not doing that, because now but now you see. You saw before you even hired me that I had a young son.
I gotta stop posting these pool pics then, huh? Because they're like, man, he's just sitting by the pool. This man, he ain't doing nothing.
Crack it up.
He don't look busy at all. He need to go show me 100 houses.
That's the truth.
So that's exactly how
Now
they
I know
think
your
too.
life. Oh,
Uh-huh.
you just relaxing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Plus, like, if you have a negotiation going on and it's at night, you know,
Yeah.
and like they're waiting on a response, and now
They see you partying.
they're like, it's now, but it's like, I'm waiting for the response. Like, I can't make the other agent respond. Like,
Yeah,
you
that's
know, I'm
true.
waiting on it, but
That's
they
true.
could feel away. So there's stuff like that. But I always like, when the vibe is right, it's a great experience, and I feel like any client that I have, when it's like that, and then when it's not like that, I kind of want to just fire them or just
Yeah.
tell them to work with someone.
And
I'll send them to
Candace,
Candace.
she made, yeah.
Because
she
she's
said
if
just-
they don't like me, they'll like her, because I'm like, I'm not so animated, or like, I'm kind of like even keeled, because I think my job is to take the emotion out of
Yes.
this process, because that's you know where you know you need the person to do that. Obviously, I'm sure all you guys do that as well, but you know, I just know a lot about your page and all the stuff you post and your personality, so I feel like you're very warm, and I'm not warm. So.
Yeah, you say you have a hard time doing your one page, and I'm like, but I love your page though.
You do the best posts.
She does.
But you know what? If you look at my page and you take out any pictures of just me doing anything non-real estate related, take out pictures of me and my husband, take out pictures of my son, anything that doesn't have to do with real estate, there's probably hardly going to be anything. Because when
Yeah.
I just had the business page, I'm like, what do? Post other
Houses
people's
like
listings all
everybody
day? Like,
else,
what do you
it's
do?
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
nothing.
And I'm not meeting people for coffee every morning. Like, I'm
Right.
not. I don't
Right.
got time for that. Like,
Right.
so I don't. There's not
Exactly.
enough content in the world.
No.
All right, so I just wanted to point out this. I came across this thing called Arrived Homes, and it's backed by Jeff Bezos. And what they're doing is, it's a crowdfund thing where you can invest in buying single-family homes that they're renovating and renting out, and eventually they sell them. And the minimum investment amount is all the way down to $100. This sounds like an ad. I'm not being paid for this. I actually was looking at this because I was looking for options for people, because people ask me how to get into investing, and I actually think this is a pretty cool thing, because like on the website you can see like the property, the specific property, when they plan to rent it, and then you'll get a certain yield, dividend yield from the rent once they start renting it. So it's expected to rent in September, and you can buy into it, right? And you'll get on average you're getting 5 to 6%. That's why I probably wouldn't do it, because I can get if I do the whole deal, obviously I would get a better ROI, but actually not that much different. If you do your own investment, you're probably getting 10, max 30%. Obviously, that's a lot more, but that's if you do really good. Anyway, I digress. You also get the appreciation of the property, right? So if the value of the property goes up, the value of your shares in that property also go up. And so you get whatever fractional amount that is. So this place is new, so they haven't been around for a couple of years, but had this been around for a couple of years, the value of almost the whole country's properties is like 30% or something. So you would have seen a good appreciation. Now, the thing is about this, it is like real estate where it's not that liquid. So if you put the money into the crowd fund for that property, you only get you get the rental income, but you don't get, you can't sell your position in it. So they say they're going to hold the properties on average from 5 to 7 years, but it depends on the market dynamics and all that. So if prices go down, then they're definitely not going to sell them while it's down. So you won't realize your appreciation or be able to get your money out of it until they sell the property. So that's the downside. But that's what happens when you invest in it. I have a whole bunch of properties with a lot of equity right now, but I can't touch that money unless I were to sell those properties. So it's the same thing. So I was thinking, when people ask me, hey, how do I get involved in investing in real estate? I didn't do it yet, so I don't, so you'd have to do your due diligence and all that, but it looked pretty cool. And if you have $1,000 here, $1,000 there, and just put little drops and you can see the property and see everything, they're going to generate income for you. If you put $1,000, you're getting 5% a year, 6% a year. That's not amazing. Obviously, if you were in the stock market previously, you would have made more than that. But it's I would say, if you wanted to get into investing and building your wealth, I would start with stocks. But then if you have a little money left over, I'd start maybe throwing some money in there. Because if you want to do your own real estate investment, first it takes some knowledge, expertise, and then it also takes a significant amount of cash. If you're going to buy something, you probably need 25% of whatever project you're trying to do. Obviously, you can put your money together with other people and stuff, but I just thought this was a cool avenue. So it's called Arrived Homes. What is your guys' perspective on investing? And I know, Candace, I wanted to ask you, you have a rental property.
Mm-hmm.
You lived in it,
Yep.
but I forget. How did you turn it into a rental? Was that always your plan? What were you doing with it?
So, when we initially bought it, it served its purpose. It was just me and Dre. So small townhouse, you don't need too much when you don't have no kids or nothing like that. But then once we started building a family and all that, it's okay, well, we need more space. We want to be in a better area, all those things. And I always wanted to have investment properties. And at the time, we had the one that we have in Philly. We had that one already. So seeing that rental income and everything, I was just well, this house, it hasn't given us a hard time or, anything like that. So it was super easy. It was just kind of okay, I'm getting pre-approved for the next house. And when they asked me what I plan to do with my current house, I was just can I keep it? And they're well, yeah. And so that's when the future,
Right.
What is it, projected rental income, they can use that to help boost your approval and all that stuff. So we went about it that way.
And would you recommend that for other people who are looking to upgrade their house, to keep it and rent it out?
I honestly, when my clients come to me and they've never owned property before, they're a first time home buyer, but they also hate their landlord and want a backyard for their kids and all of that, I give them that scenario. I do.
Okay.
I'm get the starter home, especially because of the market and the prices and all of that. Don't just shoot, right out the gate for the forever home, because chances are as you grow, hopefully you make more income and, you level up in all areas. So maybe 5-10 years from now you can afford that forever home, but if you can't right now, buy that starter home, because that's what I did. And then once I realized I grew out of the starter home, then that became the rental. So I kind of I use my own story, because then when people start asking me questions, I feel like I can give the answers from like personal, experience.
That's the thing, like, if you guys are listening to people, make sure they've done the stuff that they're talking about, at least to some degree. Like, people just be talking.
Social media is full of, you said it best, and I've been using it ever since. You called Instagram like one big highlight reel. And I was like, that is exactly what it is. Like, we literally post what we want people to see, and that's it. And a lot of times what people post aren't even like their actual lives. I'm like,
that's why I go out of my way to show stuff that's messed up. Like, when I see, like, if something's bad at my property or some problem, I try to, like, lean the other way just to counteract some of that. Because, man, especially now on the Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts, like, I feel like are your guys' feeds like this? Like, everything is freaking advice from some expert telling you some shit.
Yep. Yeah.
That's annoying to me. And it's like, you got to find your own way. Like, you can take this information, but, like, what works for me isn't going to work for you, because we're not the same people, So that's why I haven't been doing content, because first of all, I didn't know what was going on in the market, and I damn sure don't want to speak about stuff when I don't know what's happening. You know what I mean? That's why I like this panel thing better, with the perspectives and everything. How about you guys? You work with investor clients. Like, what are you seeing? What's going on? What's your perspective on the investment scene?
Well, for me, I do have investment clients. I have one in particular. We were actually under contract, and it's funny because when we first put in the offer on the house, at that time we were paying a good amount, and then the deal didn't go through, and now that property, the price dropped. But I think,
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Wow.
How much?
Like 40,000 under what we.
Oh my
Wow.
God!
Yeah. Yep. I think when they first listed, they had listed at like 185, and we had put in an offer like 200,000. And he wanted to flip it, and actually, it's pretty great that it didn't work out, because it came back to market, and just in the span of a few weeks, it was listed back at like 160 something. Yeah. So. Good job that didn't work out. But the shift in the market. But I, personally, I am trying to build my investment portfolio. So it's great to hear your story too, because that is my plan. I'm under contract right now on this home, but I plan to then, get the next one, and this will be a rental property, and I want to have, a few rental properties. So I definitely think, it's probably one of the best ways to build wealth.
I think that's the best, easiest, like, relatively low risk way of doing that. You just buy another property and just rent out the one you got. You're not doing anything fancy. And I think gradual moves are better, especially real estate. Like, just let it move slow.
Yeah.
Because it'll start snowballing. It feels like nothing. You make $400 a month on a property. That's cool. I mean, $400 extra, but people don't get excited about it. But I tell them, like, okay, now multiply that by 10.
Right.
You know what I mean? And just keep doing it. It works out. You were telling a story about some kind of investor. What happened? Was the price reduction? I forget what we were saying.
Yeah,
out there.
they just were so.
Oh, they were asking if they should stop.
Yes. If they should stop, because the market is just so wishy-washy. They just don't know if they purchase a property for a fix and flip, put money into the property. They're like, what about it just sits? And then, and then that's
You're screwed.
We're screwed.
You lose
right,
money.
Exactly. So that's what I'm seeing a lot of. And they're looking at, to me, like, I don't know, like in panic mode, like, what do we do? What do we do? So, again, like how you said, like, I don't like to predict anything. I like to, like, let things organically just go with the flow.
Yeah, because who knows? Yeah.
Who knows? It may not. It may sit on the market or it's not. So I don't like when people look at me for those, like, I don't know, they're, like, really big decisions. Yeah. It's like, you got to use your better judgment at that point,
Yeah, predicting the future is tough. That's why I didn't really. But I see now I have some conviction behind it, so I'm willing to talk about it.
Right.
But that's why I wasn't talking before about, over the last 2 years about this
Right.
kind of stuff.
Right.
But I'm seeing it. Like, that's why I keep pulling data from. I'm like seeing all these things, and I have the benefit of starting investing, not in real estate, but I was buying stocks since 2006, right? So I experienced the 2008 crash. Not that I think this is going to be anything like that, but I've experienced when the market goes the other way, and like especially real estate crashed behind the stock market, right? So people were still buying houses at those high prices while everything else was going down, because real estate takes longer to like be affected by
Right.
stuff. So like the interest rates, we're not even seeing the full effect of the higher interest rates yet. So the prices, that's why the median home price, in my opinion, has still gone up, even though rates have gone up, because it's not caught up yet. No, but you said another interesting thing, that one of your investors was out the game, which I've been out the game for 2 years, so I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
But now that they've been sitting on their money, and now they're getting ready to buy stuff.
Ready to like take over, because again, like he set out when everybody was going crazy, making all types of unnecessary purchases. Because I was the same like you. Like we're not being goofy out here. We're not going in. I'm not submitting anything over a ridiculous amount.
Right.
I'm just not doing it. You
Well,
can
how
find
do you
another-
make money if you're trying to flip it, if you're paying like so much more for the property? I didn't
Exactly.
understand. The only way they're able to do it is they're just making the rehab worse.
No,
Because
seriously.
it's the only variable that you can change. If you're going to pay more, you have to spend less in what you're spending in the house.
Exactly.
So that's crazy.
So it worked out. It works out great for him, because, like I said, now where everybody's like, "Oh, I done spent all that money," like a year or so.
They're
ago.
tapped out, and now they might. Now, if they have stuff on the street,
Mm.
they might have to take some losses on it if they're having to do price reductions. That's what I'm saying. Because if you buy something now, what's the market in a month to 3 months by the time the rehab's done?
Yep.
Ugh.
Yep. Exactly.
Yep. That's like a listing I've been negotiating like over now. I can tell the guy, the seller, some kind of investor or
And they don't
flipper
wanna-
or whatever.
And they're losing money.
House has been on the market we in July now, so 4 months, because it was listed back in March.
And it's getting worse.
4 months is ridiculous. Started at 290. They dropped to 280, 270. We're now at 265. I already told y'all about my client who has to pray about everything. But this particular client presented an offer for 245 on a property that was listed at 265. Now, this is something that we would like never do, right? You don't offer $20,000 under, and I was kind of against it, but as realtors or whatever, we have to present offers if the buyer requests for us to do that. And so that's what I did. Submitted the 245. Counter offer from the seller is 270. Your asking price right now is 265 after you've been on the market for 4 months,
I
and
had a
you
seller
have the
do that.
nerve to counter offer 270. So I replied very professional, like, mind y'all, this ain't no beautiful remodel home. It still needs some work.
Wow.
So, and I made that clear, but not, in a rude way. And I said, as previously stated, my client is not comfortable paying more than $245,000. Like, at this point, you can take it or leave it. Another counter offer, 260.
That's
The fact that you're counter offering,
I'm like,
you
the
don't have
audacity.
anything else really.
No
It's
legs to
like
stand on.
you've been on the market for this long.
Mhm.
Wow.
And are you able to, because I know we were saying earlier, like if we start talking about things that maybe the general public like doesn't understand, can you explain like holding costs for investors and stuff too? Because when these guys flip homes
Yeah,
and
what
they
are they
list
doing?
them, there are still things that need to be paid on a regular basis while that home just sits. Like you're losing
Like
money
mow the
with each day
grass.
that passes. Yeah, and they didn't.
So
Like,
you know
nothing was done in this house, guys.
So here's it's a shady flipper if they're not arranging for the grass to be cut. So if you go to like a vacant property, but it's all renovated, but the grass is like 6 feet high, that happens a lot. I know you've
Yeah.
seen these properties. Red flag. Just for you buyers out there, like what? It's like $30, every 2 weeks to mow the lawn, and they won't even do that. It's like. What else
did
are they
do?
being cheap
Yeah,
about?
exactly.
you get that vibe right away with some of these flipper people. But yeah, I wonder, they're going to have to sell for less than they made. Oh, but holding costs is the taxes, interest, whatever costs to keep the property, you know, the utilities. So that's why it's so dumb when people list a property for too much and then just think that their list price means anything. Like, obviously no one's buying it. Like, in this market, like you said, if it's been listed for more than 2 weeks, like, you need to drop it.
Yep.
Right.
What are you doing?
And this has been 4 months.
Yeah,
and
just
then
drop it.
you recently renovated the whole entire thing, and you're bragging about how everything in it is brand new. But then when I present an offer, mind you, I didn't waive the home inspection or
Yeah, don't do
anything
that.
like that. Like I was explaining earlier, if it's been sitting for a while, I'm not waiving anything. I don't have to.
Right.
So I'm not going to. And then in their counter offer, like, we're not doing any repairs. We're
Oh.
not. So I'm like, are
tired
y'all
of
cutting
seeing that.
corners
Yeah,
or?
that's
Yes.
insane.
I'm tired of seeing as is and even make you get the CO when,
Yeah, I
like,
hate
Oh
that.
my goodness.
what is going on? Like,
The least you could do
no.
is get the CO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's
CO
because
is certificate of occupancy, and in New Jersey here, the township has to certify that the house is livable. Sometimes they do certain inspections. Some towns, every town has a different standard, and normally the seller does this activity, but now they're just passing every problem to the buyer.
To the buyer.
Mhm. You
Which
want
is-
the house so bad, you'll do anything for it.
That's-
That's how they're looking at it.
Yep.
That's why I'm retired here.
Yeah, there needs to be some integrity, I feel like, with
Yeah.
listing your home.
Oh, of
you know?
course.
And not for nothing, but you're about to go probably buy your next home. So how do you want to be treated as a buyer? If you're selling this one, you got to go get your next one. Yeah, have some integrity with the way that you're listing it, I feel.
So I'm going to wrap things up here, but I want to leave with, since we have all ladies on here, some advice for women getting into this business, or your perspective, or just whatever message you might want to have for somebody that might be trying to do what you're doing, especially since you're new, so you have a pretty good perspective on what it takes. Because
Absolutely.
most agents stop in like a year.
They do.
Yeah.
I was going to mention that earlier when you both brought up like how long you've been in the business. I'm like, give yourself some credit because so many people
Yeah.
have like
It's hard
failed
to
and
start.
quit
Starting
before
is the
they
hardest
gotten where you
part.
guys are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The start is the worst. The longer that you can like survive in the business, the better and easier it gets. Except for if you retire like me, and then
Ryan, I want to be like you when I grow up.
You're like the Scrooge of real estate.
no, but I just wish I want to do it. I just can't.
Yeah.
I can't. I don't want to be annoyed. It's horrible. Sorry. Go ahead. I need some motivation.
Well, for me, I would say, and I do have a lot of people that talk to me about getting into it, and I definitely say go for it. I mean, this is a path that I've taken, and it's not my first career path, so, but it's fulfilling to me. But, you know, I would say that if this is what you want to get into, you got to know what you're getting into. You got to want to work with people, all different personality types. You got to be careful too, and I think that was the biggest piece of advice that I was getting when I got into the business was don't let people waste your time. And I definitely, there's a reason why people tell you that. That's a real thing. So don't let people waste your time, but, you know, and stick it out, you know. My first year, I didn't make any money.
Me neither.
You
No,
know?
me either. It's all right.
Yeah, so, you know,
Zero.
like,
Literally.
Yeah.
but if you
Zero.
want it, you know, and then you'll find the joys in it. But I definitely say if it's something that interests you, and for me too, I think that getting into it is not just about the sales. I've learned so much about investing from, you know, being in real estate. And I wish I knew then what I know now.
Yep.
My life would be totally different.
You see them before and after numbers on some of the deals.
Oh, yes,
When,
absolutely.
when I worked in appraisals, I did some appraisals on properties that they bought in like North Philly, like in the 70s and stuff, and then they sold them for millions of dollars, and I'm like, it's just one property. Wow, that's crazy. And not even the 70s, like more recent stuff. And I'm like, they made $1 million
Yep.
People, I've
by
heard of-
accident.
By
It was like a old lady, and then, you know, it's not some genius.
Yeah.
You know, you
No,
don't have to be
seriously.
like a genius to do real estate, like as an investor. Like, it's pretty intuitive.
Mhm. Some people that bought at the beginning of COVID, they were in such a better position.
Already.
You know, like, wow, 2 years and you're sitting on gold over
Yeah.
there,
Mhm.
you know? But yeah, think it's a great career to have. Just for the knowledge alone, investing and setting yourself up for what your future looks like. I've learned so much on that forefront, so I say go for it.
I
Bree?
agree. I totally agree. I have to piggyback off of a lot of what you said. I would just say stand your ground. Most definitely, the first year is rocky. If you can make it through the first year, you're golden, honestly, because it's tough and don't have other people, because you are going to be around people that are much more successful than you, and use it more so as, I will use it more so as, what's the word I'm trying to use? Like motivation, because that would it can discourage you, because you're hearing about, oh my goodness, your colleagues selling this, they're doing these numbers, and then when different companies, they always have different ceremonies where it's saying how much people made and where they capped at, and you don't want to get discouraged. I always use that for motivation. I made it my business to go to those. I go to every one. I ain't getting nothing, but guess what? I ain't getting no rewards, but it doesn't matter because I use it for motivation. So definitely stand your ground, and just, if you're passionate enough, you'll get there. And then nothing for nothing, I've learned so much, and now to change my perspective, because now I'm an investor. Now I'm looking to be like, I've learned so much from my investors. I've gained so many amazing business relationships too. It's not even funny. I met so many amazing people, and I would go for it. And definitely, most importantly, set healthy boundaries as a woman. I mean, you have to, because people will take advantage of you, and they'll attempt to. And you just have to set those healthy boundaries from the rip. And once you do that, I feel like you're golden. I feel like you're on to the races.
Just remember, Bree,
Uh-huh.
these people who are getting these awards have been in the business for like 10 years.
Uh-huh.
So if you imagine every client you work with refers you one or two people a year,
Uh-huh.
and then think about exponential growth, right? Like then they refer people, it becomes a big tree. So like it's about lasting in the business, I think. And if people have good experiences with you, you'll get some awards too.
Yes.
Because I think I was silver or bronze on whatever the award
Yeah.
was a while ago before I retired. And I had never gotten nothing. I was like,
See?
how the heck are they doing like
Yeah.
millions of dollars? And then
Yeah.
you get there, but your phone will just ring. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like, you just got to keep doing it. And it's
Yep.
hard to keep doing it sometimes
is.
because people waste your time.
Yeah,
Mhm.
got that right.
For sure.
Yep. So just stay down until you come up, and you'll get there if you want to.
But it's not as easy as people
It's
think.
not.
They,
Oh my
they
God.
think it's go to Starbucks. You need to stop posting that.
Yeah.
Look, they're like, I want to be like
What?
Candace and get Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts.
Oh my
before
God.
they think it's about the Dunkin' Donuts. They don't know.
Oh my
They
gosh.
don't know. They have no idea. No idea.
No, don't stop. But I'm telling you, if they see you post at Dunkin' Donuts with your sunglasses on and a convertible,
Crack it up.
they're like, I want to be like Candace.
Oh, you put
And
me
I'm
on
like,
blast.
they have no idea that
Telling you.
how many showings you will be on.
Yeah. Or that I didn't sell anything for the first year,
Yeah.
like Sheena
Me neither.
said.
0.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yep. Oh, I gotta
God.
give piece
Yeah,
of advice.
Yeah.
It's hard going behind them because so when you gotta say something and you know that you're next in line, you start to
They
Yes.
said
think
all your
of
things.
what you're gonna say. So Sheena said what I was gonna say. So I'm like, all right, boom, I got something. And then here come Bree. Yeah, so I'm like, all right, gotta think of something else. But no, I think that advice for women specifically, I think one of the biggest pieces of advice I could give is I feel like a lot of women compare themselves. I wouldn't say naturally, but it's just something that I feel like we do a lot more than men do. So when thinking about getting into real estate, I always say sit down and talk to somebody that is already doing it. Reason being is because because I've had people come to me, this one agent, God bless her heart, she literally told me a couple days ago, you're the reason why I went to real estate school. You're the reason. I'm
Aw.
like, we haven't even met yet. Let's go
Wow.
and sit down because you already took the test and passed and everything. So it's a little too late now. But for everybody else, and I don't even mean to sound mean. I sincerely want people to take the time to sit and talk to somebody who's been through it, because real estate is an expensive business to start. And a lot of people don't think about that because a lot of times we don't talk about it. We don't put it out there.
Yeah.
People pass the test and then they get hit with this fee and this fee and that fee. And that's before they sold a single home. So, and we just talked about how many agents fail in their first year.
Yep.
And they don't sell anything. So it's a business model where you start out underwater before you even come up. So the reason why I'm saying to talk to someone who's been an agent is because there's so many different ways you can make money in real estate that do not require having a license. So if you're someone who wants to get into real estate, maybe you've been watching a real estate agent on social media, but really what you want to do is the flips and stuff. You don't need to pay for no license to flip a home.
Right.
So it's like, why go through, you guys see what I'm talking about? Like, why go through, different, you don't have to go down certain roads if that's not the full intention. So yeah, that's my piece of advice.
That was good.
That was really good.
That was the perfect follow-up.
Yeah.
That's a great way to end it. I just want to say thank you guys all for being here.
Thanks for
Shayna
having
brought
us.
pizza. Thank you.
Yes.
And
Invite her all the time.
yeah.
Anytime you invite me, I'm like, yes.
I can't wait to have you guys on another panel and talk about more things. I thought this was a great conversation. Thank you for giving your time.
Of course.
It's a Sunday, so.
You got us in air, so it's all right.
Yeah.
That's it. Thanks, Kiana. Oh, shout out to Kiana
Yes,
again. I didn't think she was
Kiana.
going to do another one. Our producer here, she's the one switching the camera. And my brother's probably here. Anyway, thanks, guys. See you.
Take care.
RGB Podcast.
Bye.